Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. Today, we're not going to talk about playing games, but rather how to make them. More specifically, how to use Realm SDK to persist your data in Unity. I'm going to show you where to download the SDK, how to add it to your project, and how to write the necessary code to save and load your data. Let's get started. Realm is an open source cross-platform database available for many different platforms. Since we will be working with Unity, we'll be using the Realm.net SDK. This is not yet available through the Unity package manager, so we need to download it from the GitHub repository directly. I will put a link into the description. When you go to releases, you can find the latest release right on top of the page. Within the assets, you'll find two Unity files. Make sure to choose the file that says unity.bundle and download it. Before we actually start integrating Realm into our Unity project, let's create a small example. I'll be creating it from scratch so you can follow along all the way and see how easy it is to integrate Realm into your project. We will be using the Unity editor version 2021.2.0 alpha 10. We need to use this alpha version because there is a bug in the current LTS version preventing Realm from working properly. I'll give it a name and choose 2D template for this example. We won't be doing much in the Unity editor itself. Most of the example will take place in code. All we need to do here is to add a square object. The square will change its color when we click on it, and as soon as we add Realm to the project, the color will be persisted to the database and loaded again when we start the game. The square needs to be clickable, therefore we need to add a collider. I will choose a box collider 2D in this case. Finally, we'll add a script to the square, call it square, and open the script. First thing we're going to do before we actually implement the square's behavior is to add another class that will hold our data, the color of the square. We'll call this color entity. All we need for now are three properties for the colors red, green, and blue. They will be of type float to match Unity Engine's color properties, and we'll default them to 0, giving us an initial black color. Back in the square mono behavior, I'll add a color entity property since we need that in several locations. During the awake of the square, we'll create a new color entity instance and then set the color of that square to the newly created color entity by accessing its sprite renderer and setting its color. When we go back to the Unity editor and enter play mode, we'll see a black square. Alright, let's add the color change. Since we added a collider to the square, we can use the onMouseDown event to listen for mouse clicks. All we want to do here is to assign 3 random values to our color entity. We'll use random.range and clamp it between 0 and 1. Finally, we need to update the square with these colors. To avoid duplicated code, I grabbed the line from awake where we set the color and put it in its own function. Now we just call it in awake and after every mouse click. Let's have a look at the result. Initially we get our default black color again, and with every mouse click the color changes. When I stop and start again, we'll of course end up in the initial default again since the color is not yet saved. Let's do that next. To add Realm to the project, we go to Window Package Manager. From here, we click the plus icon and choose Add Package from Tarball. You now have to choose the tarball downloaded earlier. Keep in mind that Unity does not import the package and save it within your project, but uses exactly this file wherever it is. If you move it, your project won't work anymore. I recommend moving this file from your downloads to the project folder first. As soon as it is imported, you should see it in the custom section of your package list. That's all we need to do in the Unity editor. Let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's start with our color entity. First, we want to import the Realm package by adding using realms. The way Realm knows which objects are meant to be saved in the database is by subclassing Realm objects. That's all we have to do here really. To make our life a little bit easier though, I'll also add some more things. First, we want to have a primary key by which we can later find the object we're looking for easily. We'll just use the object name for that and add an attribute on top of it called primary key. Next, we add a default initializer to create a new Realm object for this class and a convenience initializer that sets the object name right away. Okay, back to our square. We need to import Realm here as well. Then we'll create a property for the realm itself. This will later let us access our database. And all we need to do to get access to it is to instantiate it. We will do this during awake as well, since it only needs to be done once. Now that we're done setting up our realm, we can go ahead and look at how to perform some simple CRUD operations. First, we want to actually create the object in the database. We do this by calling add. Notice that I have to put this into a block that is passed to the write function. We need to do this to tell our realm that we are about to change data. If another process was changing data at the same time, we could end up in a corrupt database. The write function makes sure that every other process is blocked from writing to the database at the time we are performing this change. Another thing I'd like to add is a check if the color entity which is created already exists. If so, we don't need to create it again, and in fact can't, since primary keys have to be unique. We do this by asking our realm for the color entity we're looking for, identified by its primary key. I'll just call it square for now. Now I check if the object could be found, and only if not, we'll be creating it with exactly the same primary key and add it to the realm. Whenever we update the color and therefore update the properties of our color entity, we change data in our database. Therefore, we also need to wrap our mouse click within a write block. Let's see how that looks in Unity. When we start the game, we see the initial black state. We can randomly update the color by clicking on the square, and when we stop and start play mode again, we see the color persists now. Let's quickly recap what we've done. We added the realm package in Unity and imported it in our script. We added the superclass realm object to our class that's supposed to be saved. And then, all we needed to do is to make sure we always start a write transaction when we're changing data. Notice that we did not need any transaction to actually read the data down here in the setColor function. Alright, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you've learned how to use Realm to save and load data in Unity. If this video was helpful for you, please consider leaving a like and subscribe for more content. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. See you next time.